3. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you. It's great to read to you all again. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I hope you have a great weekend. We put to vote some of the stories that are some of my favorites, and had you vote on it. And the one that won was No Roses for Harry, which is wonderful. And it's written by Jean Zion and Margaret Bloy Graham. And they were a husband and wife team that wrote children's books in the 50s and 60s. So this was a book when I was very young that I remember my teacher reading to me when I was at St. Joseph's School in Moorhead, Minnesota, a long, long time ago. So I'm excited to read this to you today. And one of the recurring characters in their book was Harry the dog. And there's a bunch of different books about Harry. So if you like this one, ask Mom and Dad if you can get some other ones. So I'm going to read that to you today, and it's about a dog. How many of you out there have pets? Raise your hand. Look at all those hands up. We love pets. God's creation and gift to mankind. This is my pet. This is Emmett the dog. And I love Emmett to death. And when I read this story, I think of Emmett because Emmett and Harry are very much alike, I think. So we're going to get started with this wonderful reading of No Roses for Harry by Jean Zion and Margaret Bloy Graham. All right, here we go. Harry was a white dog with black spots. On his birthday, he got a present from Grandma. It was a woolen sweater with roses on it. Harry didn't like it in the moment he saw it. He didn't like the roses. Poor Harry. When he tried it on, he felt cozy and snug, but he still didn't like the roses. He thought it was the silliest sweater he had ever seen. The next day, when Harry went downtown with the children, he wore his new sweater. When people saw it, they laughed. When dogs saw it, they barked. Harry made up his mind then and there to lose Grandma's present. He doesn't look very happy, does he? When they went into a big store to shop, the children took off his sweater and let him carry it. This was just what Harry wanted. First, he tried to lose it in the pet department. But a man found it and gave it back. Then he tried to lose it in the grocery department. But a lady found it and gave it back. He tried to lose it in the flower department. But a little boy found it and gave it back. The children didn't let Harry carry it anymore. They made him wear it. As they started home, Harry was beginning to think he'd never lose it. Poor Harry's unhappy. When he got home, his friends were waiting to play with him, but Harry didn't feel like playing, so they left him alone. As he sat wondering what to do, Harry noticed a loose stitch in his sweater. He pulled at the wool, just a little at first, then a bit more, and then a little bit more. Harry didn't know it, but a bird was watching him. You see the bird up there? In a minute, Harry had pulled out quite a long piece of the wool. The end of it lay on the grass behind him. Suddenly, a bird flew down. Quick as a flash, she took the end of the wool in her beak and flew away with it. It all happened before Harry could even blink. And there's the bird that is taking the wool away from Harry. The sweater began to disappear right before Harry's eyes. First one leg, then the neck, then the other leg, then the back, and finally, the whole thing was just one long piece of wool flying off into the sky. The sweater was gone. Harry could hardly believe it. He barked and jumped with joy. Then he ran out of the yard. So the bird took the sweater away from Harry. He ran down the street, barking thank you to the bird over and over again. The bird and wool were just a tiny speck in the sky, but Harry kept following him. He came home thirsty and was having a drink in the kitchen when the children ran in. "We got a letter from Grandma," one of them said. "She's coming to visit us," shouted the other. Harry thought of the sweater and his tail drooped. Uh-oh, he's going to get in trouble. Before Grandma came, the family looked everywhere for the sweater. They wanted her to see how nice Harry looked in it. Of course, they couldn't find it. Only Harry knew why. Uh-oh. When Grandma arrived, Harry ran up to her with his leash. Then he sat up and he begged. "All right, Harry," said Grandma. "After I've had my lunch and a nap, we'll go for a walk." That afternoon, Harry and Grandma and the children started off on their walk. Harry barked happily and pulled towards the park. If you ever walked a dog, if you've walked your dog at home, sometimes they pull really hard. That's what Harry's doing here. That's what Emmett does to me. When they got to the park, Harry pulled harder. The children let him off his leash, and then he ran on ahead. He seemed to be looking for something. All at once, he stopped under a big tree. He looked up and began to bark and wag his tail. Grandma and the children came running. I wonder if you can think of what he found up there. It'll be interesting. Some of you may have figured it out. They got to the tree and looked up too. Suddenly, one of the children said, "I see a nest." "It's made of wool," said the other, "and it's the very same color as Harry's sweater." They shouted together. "It is Harry's sweater," exclaimed Grandma. Just then, a bird looked out of the nest. "Look, Grandma, look," shouted the children. "Harry gave the sweater to a bird." "I wonder how he did that," said Grandma. The bird sang, and Harry wagged his tail even harder. At Christmas, Harry got a present from Grandma. It was a new sweater. Harry liked this one very much. When he tried it on, he felt as cozy and as snug as the bird in the nest. But best of all, it was white with black spots, just like Harry. Wasn't that a great story? Sometimes we can get gifts we don't necessarily appreciate at the time, and if something good can come out of that, that's very important. But I would ask you kids at home, any gift that you get, anytime someone wants to give you something, you appreciate it and show your gratitude for that, because that means they're thinking about you and they're wanting to give something to you so that you're happy and taken care of. Well, it's been a great pleasure being with you here today. We're going to send out a few more options for next week, and I look forward to reading to you next week at Storytime with the Principal. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend.